You might think the way to win a man's heart is to prove how much you care, how available you are, how deeply invested you can be from day one. But here's the truth. Men are far more drawn to women who know how to detach. Emotionally grounded women who don't beg, chase, or cling. Detachment isn't coldness, it's clarity. It's emotional self-respect. It's the ability to love someone deeply without losing yourself in the process. And it is incredibly attractive. The woman who knows how to detach doesn't wait by the phone. She has a full life. She's got goals, friends, passions, and she doesn't put them on pause just because someone sent her mixed signals. This kind of woman isn't heartless. In fact, she feels deeply. But she doesn't allow feelings to overrule her standards. If a man pulls away, she doesn't panic. She doesn't launch into, what did I do wrong? She steps back, watches the energy shift, and decides whether his actions align with her worth. And that's powerful, because men sense when a woman has the strength to walk away. They feel the quiet power of someone who knows, if this doesn't serve me, I'm gone. That energy changes everything. You become less predictable, less of a sure thing. And in the right man, that triggers desire. Not games, not manipulation, but a natural, healthy urge to pursue. See, when a woman is overly invested too early, texting non-stop, rearranging her life for someone who hasn't earned it, she becomes too easy to access. That's not mystery. That's not value. That's availability without discernment. Detachment, on the other hand, looks like this. You're kind, but you're not desperate. You're responsive, but not always reachable. You're engaged, but you don't need his energy to feel complete. That doesn't make you distant, that makes you secure. And in a world where so many people lead with fear and anxiety, emotional security stands out like a lighthouse in a storm. Men don't fall for women they can control. They fall for women who know what they want and won't settle for less. They fall for the woman who says, I care about you, but I'm not afraid to lose you if this is... Think about how rare that energy is. Most people cling, they compromise, they hope. But the woman who detaches, she hopes. But she also lets go if hope isn't matched with effort. She sets the tone. She doesn't ask for more, she observes. And if what she sees doesn't match what she deserves, she doesn't fight harder, she leaves quieter. That's how you train people how to treat you. Not by demanding more, but by walking away when less becomes the standard. Here's what most people get wrong. They confuse detachment with not caring, but the opposite is true. When you truly care about yourself, your peace, your standards, your future, you have to detach from people who bring chaos or confusion. Men admire women who value themselves more than the potential of a relationship, because that's the woman who's in control of her life. That's the woman who doesn't flinch when things don't go her way. She doesn't chase closure, she creates her own. She doesn't beg for clarity, she becomes it. And that, more than anything, commands attention and respect. The moment a man senses that your life will move forward, with or without him, is the moment he sees you differently. That's not arrogance, that's emotional maturity. That's someone who chooses peace over pressure. And here's the twist. It's not about making him chase, it's about knowing that if he's the right man, he won't need to. He'll step up without pressure, without persuasion, because your presence alone will inspire that from him. Detachment doesn't repel love, it refines it. It filters out the ones who were never serious, never consistent, never ready. So if you've been clinging, hoping, trying to make someone see your value, stop, step back, detach. Not to punish him, but to protect your heart. Because men may like attention, but they respect detachment. That's where the power lies, not in how much you give, but in how willing you are to walk away when what you're getting isn't enough. Let your detachment teach the lesson your words never could. I love deeply, but I don't chase, I don't beg, I don't wait, I choose. When we talk about emotional independence, we're not talking about shutting people out or pretend you don't care. We're talking about the ability to remain grounded in your own value, regardless of how someone else shows up in your life. And that kind of energy is magnetic to a man. It tells him you are whole with or without him. You're not looking for someone to complete you. You're looking for someone who complements the already full and meaningful life you have. This kind of emotional independence is the opposite of what many people have been taught. You see, a lot of us were raised to believe that the way to get love is to give more, do more, prove more. That if you care enough, if you show just how deeply you feel, someone will choose you. But that mindset backfires. Because when someone feels you are emotionally dependent on them, when your mood, your self-esteem, your confidence rides on how they act toward you, it doesn't bring them closer. It actually pushes them away. A man doesn't want to feel like he's your emotional lifeline. That's not love, that's pressure. That's weight. That's the feeling of being responsible for someone else's happiness. And when a man senses that dynamic, something in him pulls back. Not because he's cold or selfish, but because emotional dependency feels like a trap. It's too much, too soon, and it signals something fragile instead of something strong. But the woman who is emotionally independent, she's attractive on a different level. She knows how to feel without falling apart. She can care without clinging. She shows up fully, but she doesn't collapse if he doesn't show up too. That steadiness, that strength becomes something he admires. It becomes something he wants to be near, not because she needs him, but because she chooses him. When emotionally dependent, she's not waiting for a man to validate her worth. She already knows who she is. She's not fishing for reassurance. She's not wondering, do you like me? She's asking herself, do I feel good around you? Does this situation align with who I am and what I need? That shift changes everything. It puts her in control of her choices rather than at the mercy of someone else's actions or inconsistency. Men can sense this energy. It's the energy of a woman who isn't afraid to walk away. She's not playing games. She's just not ruled by fear. And when fear isn't running the show, when there's no desperation, no anxiety about being chosen, something remarkable happens. She becomes the chooser. That dynamic turns relationships around. Suddenly, he's the one trying to prove his value. He's the one stepping up, trying to match her standard, not because she asked, but because her energy inspires it. And this isn't about manipulation. It's not about pretending to be independent while secretly obsessing over him. It's about doing the inner work to know that your value doesn't rise and fall based on who stays or who leaves. It's about knowing your peace matters more than forcing a connection. It's about understanding that you're not looking for someone to rescue you from loneliness. You're looking for someone to grow with, to build with, to connect with. From a place of emotional strength, not emotional survival. Men don't fall in love with women who make them feel trapped. They fall in love with women who make them feel free. Free to show up fully, but also free to know that they are wanted, not needed. Emotional independence allows space in a relationship. It lets both people breathe. And in that space, love has room to grow, not from pressure, but from choice. That's why a woman who detaches, who holds her own emotional center, doesn't need to beg, convince, or chase. Her very presence is enough. Her energy says, I want you, but I don't need you to feel whole. That balance, desire without dependency, is what makes her unforgettable. Because emotional independence isn't just about attracting a man. It's about attracting the right man. One who sees your strength, respects your boundaries, and meets you in the middle. Not because he has to, but because he wants to. And that's when love becomes real. Not a performance, not a pursuit, but a mutual recognition of value shared by two whole people who don't complete each other. They enhance each other. Detachment creates desire in a way that nothing else can. When you're fully present but not emotionally tied to the outcome, you become incredibly attractive. There's something deeply magnetic about a woman who can care about a man but doesn't need him to define her worth or her next move. That kind of energy makes a man take notice because it's rare. Most people are so emotionally invested from the very beginning that they hand over all their power without even realizing it. Desire isn't born from constant availability or endless giving. It's born in the space between effort and independence. When a woman is willing to walk away, not in anger, but in calm self-respect, it creates a shift. Suddenly, she's not the woman who will tolerate anything just to stay. She becomes the woman who evaluates what she's getting and acts accordingly. That confidence, that unshakable trust in herself makes a man stop and rethink everything. Men, whether they realize it consciously or not, are attracted to the challenge that comes from a woman who doesn't just fall for the first hint of attention. She observes, she watches how he shows up, and if it's inconsistent, she doesn't try to fix it, she lets him go. That's not indifference, it's strength. It's emotional discipline, and it sends a message more powerful than any conversation ever could. I will not compete for your effort. Either show up or step aside. And it's not about making someone chase you. It's about being so rooted in your own worth that you simply don't overstay in situations that don't feel good. That detachment doesn't push love away. It pulls the right kind of love in. Because when a man knows you're not afraid to lose him, he has to decide, is he going to meet you at your level or risk losing you entirely? That's the kind of clarity that forces a decision. It removes the gray area. And in that space, desire grows. People think that showing someone how much you care is the fastest route to connection. But the truth is, too much, too soon, suffocates the natural development of desire. It replaces mystery with predictability. It removes the space for curiosity to build. When someone knows you'll always be there, regardless of how they show up, there's nothing at stake. There's no urgency, no motivation to value what they haven't yet earned. But the woman who can detach, who can say, I like you, but I won't chase you, changes the dynamic. She brings a sense of value to the connection, and in doing so, she invites him to rise. Not because she said so, but because her absence would be felt. That's the secret. When your presence is no longer taken for granted, your absence becomes powerful. It makes him feel the weight of losing you before he ever truly had you. And that awareness can spark real desire. You're not playing hard to get. You are hard to get for the man who isn't ready to show up. You're not holding back affection to manipulate anyone. You're simply giving affection based on effort, based on alignment. You're not emotionally invested in a fantasy of what could be. You're emotionally grounded in the reality of what is. And that's what makes a man step back and look at you differently. That's when he starts to question how he's showing up. Not because you nagged or begged, but because your energy silently said, "This is my standard." Detachment doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care about yourself first. You have the courage to say, "I want love, but not at the expense of my dignity." You don't fall into someone's life hoping to be chosen. You walk in knowing you are the prize. And if they don't see it, you leave without drama. That energy, quiet, composed, confident, is unforgettable. A man who truly wants you will feel compelled to come closer when he senses that you are not afraid to step away. He'll want to be the one who gets your attention because you don't give it freely to just anyone. That makes him feel like winning your heart is something worth earning. And that's where real desire is born. Not out of need, but out of admiration. Not out of lack, but out of respect. So when you detach, when you let go of needing someone to choose you, you make space for the right person to want to choose you. And that difference changes everything. One of the most misunderstood dynamics in relationships is the balance between being available and being overly invested. A lot of women are told to be there for a man, to show they care, to be consistent and supportive. And while those are all good things, they can quickly turn into over-munishing if you don't know where the line is. When a woman overinvests early on, when she gives more than she's receiving, when she pours effort into someone who hasn't earned it, it can backfire. Instead of feeling appreciated, she starts feeling invisible. Instead of drawing him closer, she makes him pull away. The reason is simple. When you give too much too soon without matching energy in return, it creates imbalance. Men don't fall in love with someone who chases them. They fall in love with someone who has standards. A woman who is emotionally intelligent enough to be kind, generous, and present, but not self-sacrificing. The key is being emotionally available without needing constant reassurance or pushing for reciprocation. That calm, grounded energy says, "I'm here, but I don't need to prove my worth to you. If you want this, show me." When a woman understands this dynamic, she becomes emotionally attractive in a way that stands out. She's not withholding, but she's not constantly chasing either. She responds with warmth when he shows up, but she doesn't try to force connection where there is none. Her availability becomes a mirror. If he brings consistent energy, she reflects it. If he goes quiet, she doesn't overcompensate. She observes and lets the silence speak for itself. Men can feel the difference between a woman who's emotionally desperate and a woman who's emotionally grounded. The grounded woman is willing to build something real, but she's also willing to walk away if her effort isn't matched. That balance creates space for the man to step up, not out of fear, but from a place of genuine desire. He doesn't feel pressured or controlled. He feels inspired to invest because she hasn't already done all the work for him. A man needs to feel his energy matters in a relationship. If she's always initiating, always planning, always accommodating, she removes his opportunity to lead, to contribute, to earn her affection. And whether he admits it or not, most men want to earn it. They want to feel like they're choosing a woman, not just falling into something convenient. A woman who holds back just enough to let him show up, who allows space instead of filling every silence, is giving him room to pursue, and that pursuit is what builds connection. It's easy to mistake over-availability for love, but real love doesn't mean you ignore your needs to be close to someone. It means you show up with openness and respect, but you also pay attention to how your effort is being received. If it's not being matched, you adjust. You don't keep pushing, you pull back and protect your energy. Because the right man won't need to be convinced. He'll sense your presence, your value, and he'll want to meet you there. This is why detachment plays such a big role. When you're emotionally detached from the outcome, you can stay available without becoming needy. You can express interest without begging for attention. You're open to connection, but not dependent on it. That independence gives you the ability to stay grounded when things feel uncertain. You don't spiral, overthink, or chase closure. You wait, you observe, and you act based on what's real, not what you wish it could be. Overinvesting often comes from fear. Fear of losing someone, fear of being alone, fear of missing your chance. But the truth is, anything you have to chase that hard was never really yours. You don't need to prove yourself to be chosen. You need to be yourself and allow space for someone to choose you fully. When you're always the one pushing forward, you don't leave room for the other person to move toward you. When a woman finds that balance, emotionally present but not overgiving, she becomes magnetic. She's a mystery, not because she's playing games, but because she's not pouring herself out for someone who hasn't shown they're worthy. She's available but selective. She's interested, but she's also at peace if it doesn't work out. That's the energy that keeps a man coming back, not because she needs him, but because she respects herself enough to never need to overextend just to be loved. A woman who knows how to walk away holds a quiet kind of power. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, it's not even angry. It's composed, confident, and rooted in deep self-respect. That energy is unforgettable to a man because most people stay far longer than they should, trying to fix things, hoping the other person will change, convincing themselves to be patient even when their needs aren't being met. But the woman who can calmly detach and walk away when something doesn't feel right sends a message that's louder than words. I don't chase love. I don't beg for consistency. I don't settle for less than I deserve. This kind of detachment doesn't come from coldness or disinterest. It comes from emotional maturity. It's the result of understanding that love, real love, cannot be forced. That no amount of waiting, explaining, or proving can make someone step up if they're not ready to. And instead of wasting time in limbo, this woman chooses herself. She values her peace over the chaos of chasing someone who is uncertain. That decision, although quiet on the outside, reverberates in a man's mind. Because most people aren't used to being walked away from without a fight. They expect pleading. They expect another chance. They expect emotional dependence. But when a woman simply lets go and doesn't look back, it creates a moment of clarity. Men notice when a woman detaches with grace. It's not the kind of goodbye that slams doors. It's the kind of goodbye that makes him sit with himself, that makes him question how he showed up, how he lost someone who didn't need him but chose to be there until she didn't. And it's that contrast, that sudden absence of her energy that often wakes him up. Because while she was there, he might have taken her presence for granted. But now that she's gone, he feels the void she used to fill. Not because she begged to be remembered, but because she left with enough dignity to never ask for it. A woman who can walk away, isn't playing games. She's simply honoring what she knows in her gut. She doesn't second guess herself endlessly. She listens to her emotions, but she also checks them with logic. If someone's behavior consistently causes pain, confusion, or doubts, she doesn't excuse it. She doesn't cling to potential. She sees it for what it is and moves on. That's what sets her apart. She doesn't operate from fear. She trusts that letting go creates space for something better. She knows that walking away from the wrong energy is the first step toward attracting the right one. This kind of strength is incredibly attractive to a man who's ready for a real relationship, because he sees that she won't stick around just because she's lonely. She won't stay simply because they have history. She needs more than chemistry. She needs consistency. And when a man understands that, he either rises to meet her standard or he removes himself. Either way, she wins, because she refuses to participate in half love. She refuses to negotiate her value for temporary comfort. And here's the truth. Men are deeply affected by women who walk away without malice. When you leave with peace instead of bitterness, you become unforgettable. You didn't lash out. You didn't beg. You didn't break down. You chose yourself quietly. That image stays with you, not because you tried to leave a mark, but because your absence spoke